This episode is brought to you by Distilled Experiences. DistilledExperiences.com is where you can find your exclusive Kentucky bourbon experience. And at checkout, you can use the code MyBourbonPodcast for 10% off every public tour. And again, that's MyBourbonPodcast for the code at DistilledExperiences.com. Episode of This Is My Bourbon Podcast. I am your host, Perry. I am on my own this week because scheduling is really hard at the beginning of the year and everybody is very busy. So I wanted to do something different and something kind of fun. And in this case, we are doing a call-in episode. So what that means is that we are going to be hearing from different listeners or friends or fans of the show, and we're going to be talking about, what's going on in the world of bourbon or what they've had recently that might be something interesting to talk about. Maybe there's questions, maybe there's mini interviews or chats or whatever. But I think it's going to be a really fun little episode. Let's talk about a couple of things up top. Of course, there's not really any flying blind because, I'm on my own. What am I going to do? Blind myself with something? Put on my blindfold and then go into the bourbon cabinet. That'd be something else. Anyway, instead, I'm just kind of sipping on some Early Times Bottled and Bond, which is one of my favorites. Of course, you all know that. And we'll talk about a couple of things up top before we get into the episode proper. First and foremost, if you have not yet, but you have the ability to, please do give us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. That really does help us out if we're trying to reach new listeners and helps other people, become more aware of the show. So if that's something that you are capable of doing, you can do it very much right in app. You just scroll down a little bit from the main page of the podcast, and then you can leave us a rating and review. If you cannot do any of that, please do let your friends know about the show. I think that's a really great way to get them aware of this really fun community, really great, tight, awesome community that we have going around. And there's just one more thing that I want to bring up because it is so cool, and I cannot be more excited for this person. But Marianne Eaves announced the other day that she is pregnant with a baby girl, and that is so awesome. She was a good friend of the show. We are so excited for her. I think it's going to be really, really cool. She is clearly very, very excited, and having talked with her personally, she can't wait, and we can't wait for her. And I just want to send out a congratulations to her. So here's how the episode's going to go. We are going to get some callers in throughout. I will be back with you here in just a few moments for our very first caller of the episode. So stay tuned for that. And welcome to our very first caller for this special call-in episode of This Is My Bourbon Podcast. Who do we have on the line?
Well, I think it's Curtis Conrad.
Curtis Conrad, what the heck? I thought you were still in Hawaii.
No, just got back. Literally.
Dude.
Literally.
Why are you... Go, yeah, sorry, I'll stop talking over you.
Literally, this was my flight from... so on Friday, I flew from 9 till about 6 in the morning to Denver, and then from Denver...
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, from Denver, 6 to 3:30 in Cincinnati. So it was a long trip.
Oh my gosh, dude. Oh, that's. Well, I'm glad you're back safe and sound.
Yes, exactly. And I really can't complain because I was literally in paradise in Hawaii. We went
exactly.
We went whale watching. I literally saw a baby whale breach the water. And
are you serious?
Yeah, it was so cool. And then I went and took a trip in a submarine. So I did that. Yeah. and got to see a sunken ship that had been turned into a reef on Hawaii, and
Oh my gosh.
we saw sharks, saw a bunch of fish, pretty much anything you can think of. We saw. It was pretty cool.
Dude, that is so cool. Oh
Yeah,
my
I know.
gosh. Oh,
Yeah,
I can't
so-
imagine. Like, and I've been on trips to, quote unquote paradise or whatever before, but like that feeling of coming back and,
Yeah.
and like having to readjust to everyday life.
Oh, it's difficult.
it kind of sucks.
Today I was like, oh no, what do I do? I can't. It's not. First off, it's not 75 degrees, and
Well, it basically was yesterday.
yeah, well, that's true. I heard it. The weather's been pretty good there. Good
Yeah.
here. I also
Yeah,
was
here,
on
not
top
there.
of
You're back home.
yes, exactly. I also was on top of a volcano, so that was cool.
Oh my gosh.
So did it all,
Oh.
man. It was a great trip.
Well, I have to ask you, what were you drinking while you were over there?
To be honest, not bourbon. It was a lot.
I didn't expect you to.
Yeah, it was. We had a lot of. They were called lava flows, accurately
Okay.
named. There were a lot of lava flows in Hawaii, but it's a combination of pina colada and strawberry like puree. So it looks like
Interesting.
a lava flow, but it was really good. And I usually don't like pina colada, but this was pretty good.
That sounds pretty good, actually. I mean, like, and I'm not a big pina colada person either. I'd rather we have margaritas, I guess, if I had to choose.
Yes, exactly.
But that sounds so cool, man.
Yeah, the whole trip was great. So I was very happy. I didn't want to go back. But
and now you get to come back and talk about bourbon and be on a podcast.
Yes, it is nice to be back. It is nice to be back in a place that has bourbon, because Hawaii has nothing. No bourbon at all. It's kind of depressing.
I imagine. So, which island did you stay on?
We stayed on the Big Island of Hawaii.
The main.
That's what they call it. It's the Big Island of Hawaii. It's the main island.
Interesting. It is. Do they actually have a name for it, or is it just the Big Hawaii Island?
It's the main island of Hawaii, I believe. I don't think it has a name. Or if it does,
fair enough.
Or if it does, everybody calls it the Big Island. So.
Well, either way, that's still really cool.
Yeah.
But,
and
hey, it's been like it's been almost a month since we've recorded, so I'm excited for you and Swan to get back in here and do an episode or two.
Yeah, I thought I'd get a quick call in,
Yeah, thanks for doing that, getting us all kicked off for this special call-in episode. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. And it's good to have some bourbon, because I haven't had any in honestly about a month. So
holy moly,
this is great. I guess for Christmas I had some, so we got that covered. But
oh yeah, how were your holidays? We haven't really even talked about how, because you're a big Christmas guy.
Oh, big Christmas guy.
Yeah. So how were your holidays? Good.
They were awesome. Just I'm not gonna lie. We were trying to. I was like, all right, get me to January 3rd, which is when I was flying when we were going to Hawaii. But Christmas and Hawaii, like it was too good to me, is what it was.
I mean, I don't know any better way to sum it up there.
Yeah. How was yours, man?
Oh, mine was great. It was, I will say it was a little stressful. There was a lot of running all over the place, but overall it was a pretty good Christmas.
Hey, that's a
I
solid,
will say I was happy when things kind of returned to normal, though.
Yeah,
so
I understand that. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Is I'm like, all right, that was awesome, but I'm glad to get back into a routine and kind of get back to day to day.
How old are we? I mean,
my birth certificate says that I'm 24, but I think If you talk to some people, they would say that I'm 50 or something.
All right, Kurt. Well, I'll let you go, buddy. Thanks so much for calling in, and thanks for, I guess coming back and not staying in Hawaii forever.
All right, kid.
We'll see you next time, but until then, I'm Perry.
I'm Curtis.
And this is my Bourbon Podcast live call-in episode by Curtis.
All right, see you, man.
See you,
Bye.
bye. And our next caller will be in here very soon, so stay tuned for that. Hello.
Well, hello.
Well, howdy there. Welcome to the show. What's your name?
Hi, my name's Papa Ritter. And I haven't had a drink in 24 hours.
Well, that could be rectified.
Liar. Everybody in the kitchen just said liar. Had one at lunch.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, Pear, how's it going, buddy?
Fine. How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's been a long time. I haven't seen you like at all today.
Yeah,
except
no,
twice.
since lunch.
Yeah. How's everything going? Do I need to ask? Wait, go ahead.
No, everything's going fine. What were you going to ask?
Do I need to ask a question, or is this
you
just
can if you want, or we can
just chatting purposes?
We can chat. You can ask a question. You can do whatever the heck you want to. That's what we're here for. I'll ask you a question.
Shoot, ask.
What you've been drinking recently?
I had a beer at lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Last night at Suggins, we had Blanton's.
Okay.
And the 1783 Evan Williams and Four Roses small batch.
All right then.
What you been drinking?
Well, I just killed a bottle of Early Times Bottled and Bond.
There you go.
And I think I'm gonna have some New Riff here in a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. And
All right.
I cracked open the Christmas bottle that you gave me as well.
Oh,
that
good.
Vickers.
Good.
Have you
I was
tried?
looking through. I was looking at the Christmas at my liquor cabinet,
Uh-huh.
and I still have the bottle of Elijah Craig that you gave me for Father's Day.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
You haven't even opened
Yeah.
it?
So. No.
No. All
I don't
right.
know why. No. What are you gonna say? You don't like it? No, I love it.
Oh, of course I figured you did.
Yeah. You might have somebody else that might want to say hey to you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Hello,
Hello. Who am I speaking with?
it's your sister.
Oh, my gosh, Sarah. Hello there.
I'm here.
What's up?
Just about to have dinner and a glass of wine.
Oh, what kind of wine are you drinking?
Of course, Meridian Chardonnay.
Okay.
I also just ate a roll with butter.
Ooh. Fancy schmancy.
What are you up to other than the podcast? What are you drinking?
I'm drinking Early Times Bottled and Bond right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great for you.
Thank you. all of my bourbon is pretty much put away, so I have to what's within arm's reach.
Why is it put away?
Because it was out and I needed to put it back up in my cabinet.
Oh, I see. You gotta restock.
Oh, well.
Well, sending my love to all of your listeners, and hopefully we can get back together for another round of bourbon and law soon.
That would be great.
It sounds fantastic.
Yeah. All right, Sarah. Thanks
All
for
right, well,
chatting with me.
No problem. Good to talk to everyone.
Good talking to you as well.
All right, love you.
All right, love you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, Perry.
Hey, Dad.
You still there?
I'm here.
Okay.
Are you there?
What did you say? What bottle? What? Yeah. What was the bottled and bond you said you had?
Early Times Bottled and Bond.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear you at first.
No, that's all good.
All right. Well,
Well, you guys go
Let's
have
hope
good
so.
dinner, and Thanks for chatting.
Yeah, you're welcome, and thanks for including me. Does this count as my 11th visit?
This counts as your in canon appearance here on the podcast.
There you go, sweet. I hope those that are Patreons get to listen to our episode from Friday.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's already out, so
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, great. Anyway.
All right. Well, Dad,
we will tell. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome, buddy. Talk to you soon. Love you. Tell everybody hello, and keep listening, everybody.
Well, dude, thanks, Dad. Love you too.
Everybody, see you.
Bye.
Bye.
And that was Papa Ritter. More coming up here next. Hello, you're live on the air.
Oh, hey, what the heck's going on?
Hey, Ian, how are you, man?
How's things?
I'm doing well, buddy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it was breaking up there for a second.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. How you been, man?
Yeah. I've been good.
Good.
Been real good. Took 2 weeks off for the holidays, which I was very much appreciative of.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Drinking some New Riff right now, of course.
Oh man, I was actually about to pour some, but I'm working on some Early Times Bottled and Bond right now. But
are you? I haven't had that in a while.
Oh man, it's so good. It's so good. It really, like, I remember not being that impressed with it at first, but I've really come around to it. So.
Yeah, I went on. I think it was like last year. I went on this whole like Bottled and Bond kick, and
right.
that was one of the first Bottled and Bonds I got. And I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
Because as much as I like to drink stuff neat, I drink rock sports too sometimes when I want to drink like all day with friends. And that's a really good rock sport drink.
Drinking all day with friends. That's the dream right there. So Ian, you said before we started recording and everything that you had an interesting story to tell about how you got into bourbon.
I do.
You want to tell that story?
Sure. Right now?
Yeah, go for it, man.
The origin story of me drinking bourbon goes back 12 years when I was in my junior year at high school, and my parents went out of town. And my stepdad's one of those guys. I always kind of associate with like the 007 complex, where he's like one of those guys that he's just one of those guys that are like really cool. He's just a cool person. Like when you meet him, you're like, man, I kind of want to be like that guy. And he always drank bourbon and scotches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So him and my mom went out of town, and he has this huge liquor cabinet. It's something I've always strived for. So I always saw him drink Woodford Reserve. So when they were out of town, I got into his Woodford Reserve, and then I tried it. I actually tried it neat for the first time I ever drank it, and I fell in love right in that moment. But the funny part is when he came home, I had probably drank like a third of the bottle, or drank a third of the bottle. I'm sorry. And he had said something like, "Hey, did you get in my Woodford Reserve?" And I said, "No, I would never do that. I don't drink." Blah blah blah. And then so I thought it would be smart while he was at work that day to fill it with water.
No.
And he comes back home. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh sure. So he comes back home and says, "What happened to my Woodford Reserve?" I said, I don't know what happened to you. He said, "You filled it with water. I know what bourbon looks like with water." And then I've never looked back since. I've always drank bourbon.
So
since that moment.
That's awesome. So it was kind of love at first sight for you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
How did you feel about the Woodford back then? I mean, did you love it, or was it?
Oh, I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
I remember like the first time I ever had it, I had it neat, and then it was too hot. Obviously, I mean I was like 17 years old.
Oh sure.
So I put it on the rocks, and then when you start getting that I didn't pick up as much banana notes as I do from Woodford Reserve and that I do now, or Brown-Forman products. But back then I got like so much caramel, so much vanilla, so much wood notes, and I was like, oh my god, this is incredible. This is way better, because I hated beer back then. I thought all beer tasted like piss water. So
you were a big beer drinker for a long time.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I gained a lot of my weight. Is well, bourbon was always I was in the restaurant industry for 9 years. So beer was more affordable than whiskey. So I always had whiskey, but I just didn't have the money to have a collection like we all do now.
Yeah, sure.
And so I got on that craft beer kick. And at one point, I think I had like a recessed cabinets in my kitchen. So I had like a beer garden, like all the craft beers. I think I had 175 different craft beer bottles.
Wow.
Yeah, at one point.
And
there's a video actually on my Instagram, some of my early videos.
I'll have to go check that out then, for sure.
Yeah, you got to scroll way down. There's a few videos of them. One of them at the end, you can see all my vintage decanters that I have.
Oh,
it
nice.
Like goes through the whole plethora of all the bottles, and then at the end, I sweep and you can see my vintage decanters.
So, speaking of decanters, sorry, Santa Cletus sent me a present the other day, and it was a 1970 Jim Beam decanter that he had decanted into a different bottle.
Of course,
but it was a Germany shaped bottle, and 100-month-old. I think it was 86 proof if I remember correctly, but super cool, and it's really good. I'll have to get you to try some when you're down next.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think the one. Hold on, let me look real quick. The one that we tried on your first live stream was a 70. 1970. It was 8 years old, 80 proof.
Oh yeah. Oh man, that was good.
That was so good. That was like liquid candy.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely. All right, Ian. Well, thank you for calling in, my friend. It was great talking with you.
Absolutely. Hopefully see you soon.
All right, buddy. Sounds good. Later.
Yep. All right, bye.
Thanks, Ian, for calling in. More coming up next. Welcome back to this very special call-in episode of This Is My Bourbon Podcast. We have our next caller on the line. Who am I speaking with?
Eric Jansen.
Eric Jansen, how are you, my friend?
I am doing wonderfully. How about you, Pear Bear?
I'm doing fantastic. I am just about to pour some New Riff single barrel from a liquor store about 30 minutes south of Lexington. So.
You know what? I will join you in that. I will have the Riff Buster pick from Adam Terry's group in Nashville.
That is a very good pick.
It is wonderful.
Yeah, and I actually just killed this bottle because I didn't have enough left in it to save. So.
Well, you'll have that when you're doing Perry pours.
That is true, but it was a little bit of a Perry pour. So, Eric, tell me, what have you been up to recently? What you been drinking? Any cool stories? How were your holidays? All that.
Holidays were great. Brother got married at the end of November. Took some Eagle Rare and some E.H. Taylor Small Batch down to Jamaica for the wedding.
Very nice.
Killed off a bottle of Wild Turkey Decades on New Year's Eve to end the decade.
Now that's the way to go. Man, that's... Look at you really thinking about that. I should have done that.
I only did it because I know a store that's not too far from me that still has a bottle of that I can buy.
Really?
Yep.
Good price?
He also... Good price. I think he was $150, $160.
Oh, man. That's not bad at all.
And then he also has Wild Turkey Diamond still on the shelf.
Oh, man.
So I killed off a bottle of that this year as well. So I'm guessing I'm going to have to go and get myself another one of those. It's all thanks to your podcast that I have, 17 different expressions.
What are you doing blaming me for your your spending habits?
I would have never become such a Wild Turkey fanatic if it weren't for Perry and Swan.
Hey, I think that Chad and Sarah have something to do with that as well.
Hey, don't you drag them into this.
Why not? They're lovely people.
That's true. All of you guys have had an influence on my poor checkbook.
I will say, I think I said this on the podcast a couple weeks ago, 2020 is definitely the year of me slowing down with bourbon purchases.
Same here. Unless it's a really good store pick,
Uh-huh.
I've got so much stashed away at this point. What more do I really need?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking. So the other day I was cleaning up the studio, and I just had bottles everywhere on the floor, and I was like, I've got to rein this in and just, put everything back in the cabinet and whatnot. And like just looking at the sheer amount of, and surprisingly, Elijah Craig picks that I have, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, the ones that get me are either the Kentucky Spirit picks. I end up with a lot of those, or Benny's up here in Chicago, where I'm from the area of. They do a ton of Four Roses picks every year.
Really?
Uh-huh. I think I've got looks like 7 Four Roses picks on my shelf right now.
I've got
now some of those are multiples though, because
sure.
they had one that was really good. Let's see, it was the OBSQ that they had.
Oh.
I think I have 4 bottles of this one alone because it was just so good.
So if they ever do a Four Roses pick and it winds up being an OBSO, let me know, because those are my favorite. That's my favorite recipe, and I've been searching for a bottle of an OBSO for forever.
All right, I know. I was just talking with one of the managers. I think that there's some more coming out in the next couple months.
Oh,
if
fantastic.
There's an OBSO, I will let you know for sure.
Yeah, please do. Please do. I appreciate it. That's what I love about the bourbon community.
Oh, yeah. You can. All it takes is a few messages online, and all of a sudden, hey, can you help me get this bottle that is in your area?
Absolutely. All right, Eric. Thanks so much for calling in, buddy. It was great talking with you.
Great chatting with you, too. Have a great night, Perry.
All right, you too, man. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, more of This Is My Bourbon Podcast call-in episode coming up very soon. And we are back with our special call-in episode of This Is My Bourbon Podcast. Who do we have on the line right now?
This is Bill Robart from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Bill Robart? Would you happen to be the same Bill Robart who sent me a bunch of beer?
I am. My alias will be Craft Beer Lovers of Wisconsin. So, yep, that's me.
You did me a huge solid in sending me all of so you sent me 6 beers, right?
Yeah, I think so. 6 total.
And the one that I think that was given the most resounding approval was the it was called like High C. I mean, the whole thing was based off of the High C orange drink, I think.
Yeah, from Brewing Project, if I recall correctly.
Right, yeah, and so my wife Lucy is not really much of an IPA drinker, much less a New England IPA drinker, and she thought it was the best IPA she'd ever had, and I thought it was amazing as well. So thank you for sending that our way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It looks like we have a winner, right? I think at the end of the day, we see these different beer styles. I know this is a bourbon podcast, and I apologize, but
no,
I know we
let's
see
talk
these
about
different beer styles.
Let's do beer for a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. We see these different beer styles, and just like, and very similar to bourbon, there's a lot of different variations, and so it just takes finding the right one to then kind of open your eyes to, oh, this is what it could be. Let's see if there's something else out there I like.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I didn't think that I was going to like IPAs after the first few that I had. And I think it was just because they were too bitter or too hoppy or whatever. And, I've kind of acclimated to them since then. But I think if I'm going for an IPA, I'm definitely landing somewhere in the New England category. But that's not the only beer I enjoy. I love a good barrel-aged stout, especially when it's in the colder months of the year. But even then, I was just talking with somebody and I said, I actually really like Miller High Life. And I don't know if that's a faux pas in the beer world or not, but...
I mean, it depends on who you talk to, but look, I'm from Milwaukee. Miller High Life has always been my beer of choice. It's a champagne of beers. We have it every New Year's. So it's definitely something that's awesome. But it's funny that you say the barrel aged beer part, because when I first started drinking beers, very similar to you, not a fan of IPAs, way too bitter.
Sure.
And I really fell in love with barrel aged stouts.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout my maturity, if you will, in the beer styles, I've grown accustomed to bitter, hoppy stuff, and I do appreciate them now. And one of the things that I think really kind of was an interesting twist was I had in the very beginning ages of having these barrel aged stouts, they were very barrel heavy, very bourbon heavy, and I found that I loved the taste of bourbon, but I hated the alcohol burn that you got when you drank bourbon. So I went after all these crazy bourbon barrel aged beers just because I wanted that taste of bourbon, but I didn't want that that hotness. And it took me a little bit, but once I got used to that alcohol burn, I've actually kind of started going a little bit more bourbon heavy because I do love the taste of it. So it's kind of, how they, I know it's going to be a weird analogy. I know sometimes they say like marijuana is a gateway drug to harder drugs. And it's like,
okay.
bourbon barrel aged stouts is my gateway to bourbon. And so, it's,
yeah, and I think
it's been a fun ride so far.
Sure, and I think some people view bourbon barrel aged wines, if they're a wine drinker, as being the gateway to being a bourbon drinker as well. So I totally get that. Because I brought it up, I have to ask you this, and we've kind of we've kind of talked around it a little bit, I would say, but I have always kind of seen, and there's these different tiers, like Budweiser is kind of the Jim Beam of beers, PBR is kind of the like Kentucky Tavern of beers. What is the, and I have an answer in my head, but what do you think the Miller High Life is of beers to bourbon?
Oh, that's a hard one.
Because I kind of think
that is very hard.
So here's where I kind of stand with it. It's affordable and it's not undrinkable. Of course, I think like I said, I think it's really good, but I feel like it's kind of it might kind of be in the Evan Williams area. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, I can see that. I can see the Evan Williams Black, and potentially maybe Larceny area.
Oh, okay, that's really interesting.
So I think, and if I recall correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Larceny is more weeded.
Larceny is a weeded bourbon, yes.
Yeah, so it doesn't have, rye definitely gives a good flavor profile if you can handle some rye, and then some people can't, and that's where like a High Life is very easy drinking, where I think Larceny kind of hits that mark from a weeded perspective, and then I am a unabashedly, if you will, or however that word is, but I love me some Buffalo Trace. So of course I would go Buffalo Trace on that, but in Wisconsin, Buffalo Trace is a smidge harder to find, especially in Milwaukee. It comes and goes pretty quickly, but Larceny is always available, and 9 out of 10 times you can probably get it for $20-25, so not a bad price point either. So I've actually introduced a lot of my beer friends who are thinking about bourbon. Larceny has always been my first choice for them, and they've really kind of taken to that. So High Life being a great starter beer, if you will, Larceny is probably a great starter bourbon in that regard.
Okay, you're kind of introducing something that I hadn't really considered, but I've always thought of High Life just as kind of go-to. We kind of said it already. A go-to kind of easy drinking beer. I mean, you're not dissecting a whole lot of flavors or anything, but I kind of see where you're coming from with the larceny aspect, but at the same time, I think I'm still gonna personally. I think I might still stay with the Evan Williams Black Label, but I definitely see where you're coming from with that. I would like to do, and this is something we've been talking about forever, but do a beer and bourbon pairing episode. So I think I might have to lean on you a little bit for some of that information, some of that insight when the time comes.
Yeah, I actually might have the perfect little weird pairing for you. We'll leave it as a spoiler, but if people have followed me on Instagram for a while, probably 3 years ago I did this. Where there was a specific beer and specific bourbon that were basically meant for each other.
Oh, okay.
And it's from the same place. They are brewery and distillery, actually, so kind of cool. But yeah, I think some people might catch on to what I'm talking about, but there is something, and we can definitely discuss this a little bit later, but there's a little something there that might be kind of cool, and I might be able to get you set up with some stuff.
Yeah,
so.
that'd be great. I honestly don't even really know what you're talking about, to be very frank. I'm not sure, and I apologize for not being more attentive, but
not at all.
I don't know what that could be.
The hint I'll give you is that it is from Michigan. It's a Michigan brewery / distillery, and the story is awesome.
Wild.
And the beer pairing is pretty cool. And yeah, me and you will talk about that, and we'll get you set up there. So that'll be a cool little combo.
Yeah, let's do it.
But kind of an interesting thing too. And again, just kind of bringing this to a whole beer culture and bourbon culture kind of interplay here. In the beer culture, most beer nerds. And I will definitely preference that from a beer nerd perspective. They don't like big beer. And so when we talk about big beer, we talk about all the macro breweries like Miller, Budweiser, stuff like that.
Sure.
And one of the things that I found in bourbon, which I absolutely love this, is that you can almost put Buffalo Trace, Jim Beam, Wild Turkey into this big bourbon category, if you will.
Sure.
They make a ton of bourbon. They're huge productions, whatever. When I went to Maker's Mark makes Maker's Mark. You go to Woodford makes Woodford. But Buffalo Trace, Wild Turkey, and Jim Beam make a plethora of different variations and different expressions of bourbons, different labels and stuff like that.
Right.
And so technically you can call that big bourbon, but the bourbon industry embraces them. We love you. We want to see more of this. We appreciate what you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's interesting because you go to the beer side and people are like, oh, Miller, Budweiser, nah, we don't want anything to do with you. And I mean, there's a lot of history behind that, but it was very interesting because when I did the Kentucky Bourbon Trail and I hit a Jim Beam, and I'm just I talked to my friend. I'm like, God, this is the equivalent of big beer. And I'm like, and look how much people love this. And it was very interesting to me. Very, very interesting.
So in that aspect, and this will be the last thing before we wrap up, but how do you feel about Budweiser? Because I honestly don't mind Budweiser, and I feel like there are people out there who are and I don't mean this in a negative way by any means, because I think that being a bourbon snob is fine, but a beer snob who hears I like Budweiser and just goes, well, you should be not drinking this or whatever. I don't think that Budweiser is all that bad, but how does the beer community feel about it in general? I mean, is it just kind of that they don't want the big beer to overtake things, or is it just kind of, generally looked down upon? Or I'll let you answer. I'm sorry, I'm rambling.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It is very interesting. And so, the general consensus, if you are a craft beer aficionado, if you will, we aren't fans of big beer. There's a lot of history, a lot of like business practices and things of that nature that a lot of people kind of look down on when it comes to big beer. Budweiser being the most prominent of that, and then obviously Miller kind of secondary because of the buyouts and stuff that they do. Now, again, I'm going to preference this. I'm a Miller guy, so of course, and I'm from Milwaukee, so Budweiser's the enemy to us, and we're just gonna, we're just gonna, push them aside.
It's the Jim Beam versus Jack Daniels kind of thing.
Exactly. Tennessee whiskey versus Kentucky bourbon. That's absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that is very interesting is that Goose Island, which is a Chicago brewery, was bought by AB InBev, which is Anheuser-Busch. And there was a lot of people who kind of said, you know what, we're never going to buy Goose Island beer anymore.
That's a shame.
Until Bourbon County comes out.
Yeah, right.
And so Bourbon County, and I know you're familiar with Bourbon County brand stout.
Oh, yes.
But Bourbon County comes out, and like the beer nerds like seamlessly forget that they're owned by Anheuser-Busch, and they go crazy and they buy it all.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think there's so if it comes to from an everyday drinker and stuff like that, people kind of dissuade that. And again, it's more because of there's two things. Number one, there's a flavor piece of it where a lot of people feel that the Bud products and Miller products may be less flavorful, and they don't have a lot of different products available, and from an innovation standpoint, they're not the greatest. Sure. I will say personally, I think from a consistency standpoint, they're amazing. If I was in Cancun, and again, not a Bud guy, but they had Budweiser there, and it tastes like Budweiser in the States. And you don't get that consistency if you're not, doing what you need to do. But
that's fair.
But I think from a beer perspective, people just kind of, from a big beer perspective, they look down on that. But in the same token, too, just remember, from the world I come from, being a big craft beer fan, I am the minority, where the majority of beer drinkers still appreciate your Bud Lights and your Miller Lights, and those people, they don't necessarily watch and think about and care about those dynamics in the market.
Sure.
They just know that they like Bud Light, and that's what they're going to drink.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, I feel like we have about an hour more of content to talk about here, but so we'll save that for a full episode if you're okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Whenever you want to talk about it, you just let me know, and I'm more than welcome to that conversation.
Let's do it. Thank you so much for calling in. Again, where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, so I am on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook under Craft Beer Lovers WI. So it's Craft Beer Lovers WI. And so just reach out to me. I'm mostly heavy on the Instagram side, but the Facebook does have its own page. And I don't even know how to Twitter very much, but I do have a Twitter handle. So.
All right, Brian. Thank you so much, buddy, for calling in.
Awesome. Thank you so much, too. You guys have a good one. And I would be remiss if I didn't throw this in here. Go Pack Go.
Oh, go Pack Go. All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, bud. Take care.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
Bye.
And we will be back with more special call-in episode of This Is My Bourbon Podcast here very soon. Stay tuned. Welcome back to this special call-in episode. Who do we have on the line now?
This is Clifton McDaniel.
Hello, Clifton McDaniel, YouTube star.
How's it going?
Doing all right, man. How are you?
Doing well. Just recovering after a very long hangout with a few of your listeners last night.
Which I am sorry that I wasn't able to make, but I heard that it went for, 4 hours?
Yes, it's one of the longer ones, but we all had a great time. We missed you, but we had a wonderful time.
Yeah, as I was telling you guys, I was really sorry that I wasn't able to do that. Lucy and I haven't had a whole lot of time together. over the past few days. So it was, finally time. We finally had time to just sit down and like talk and eat dinner together.
That sounds like a great use of time too. But no, I actually had Brandon, also one of your listeners, came over to my house, and so yeah, we have really good friendship was made because of your show. So
that is so. I love hearing that. That just makes me so happy. But I like to imagine that it wasn't just because of the show. I'm sure that the bourbon had a lot to do with it too.
Well, but I mean, we lived so close to each other, but we also lived so far. I mean, we would have never crossed paths if it wasn't for you. So
right. Well, you're making me blush, Clifton. So you said you're out and about tonight. What's up with that?
Yeah. Well, so I actually haven't left yet. I was holding off for a chance to call in, but now we're going to go to a Korean barbecue restaurant. So we're going to go. Yeah, that's one of my favorite things. I never did it until I moved out to California, and it's a really big thing here. So I just have grown to love it.
What makes Korean barbecue different from say like hibachi or something like that?
Well, so the place that we go to, it's kind of an all-you-can-eat thing. So you order a bunch of different styles of, beef or chicken or whatever, and you cook it on the table right in front of you. So it's kind of a fun experience. I mean, it's expensive, but it's all about the experience, and that's what I love about it.
That's really how I feel about hibachi too. Like it's not the best food in the world, and it is a little expensive, but just the atmosphere of it, I think, is so much fun.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I get that. Yeah. So what have you been drinking recently, Clifton?
I've been really getting into a bunch of store picks lately. It's something that I kind of never really explored too much, just I guess because I was trying to get the basics. But I had a really good Weller 107 pick last night, as well as I had an Eagle Rare pick too from the same store, and it was just really incredible.
I have not had a 107 pick in a hot minute.
Yeah, so I actually came across that one when I was traveling back to South Carolina. I just saw it. I just walked in the store just casually, and there was 4 of them on the shelves. And by the time I left, the others were gone. But I'm glad I picked it up.
So you said it was on your way to South Carolina or in South Carolina?
It was in South Carolina. The store is called Frugal McDougal. They have one in Tennessee as well. They're a pretty big one, but they do some really good picks. So
are they in Nashville too? Am I thinking of the right place?
I think so. I honestly didn't realize they were anywhere but South Carolina, but I think there was only one store in South Carolina, so I imagine it's kind of a similar situation there.
There's something in the back of my brain that's saying that it's some kind of chain in the South. I don't know. And I've only ever heard of it in a couple of places. It's not in Kentucky, I don't think. But
not that I'm aware of, but I just know that I'm going to definitely stick to their picks if I ever come across them. I've seen them on the web, but first I'm having it in person.
Sure. I if only there were a way for me to find out, but I'm a little preoccupied at the moment. Hey, I want to ask you too about something.
Sure.
Let's talk about your because I did semi-jokingly say YouTube star at the top of the episode. You shifted your focus on your YouTube channel from kind of everyday stuff to whiskey content mainly.
Yeah. Started as a hobby, and then it became an obsession, really.
As it is with all of us. At what point did you kind of decide that you wanted to do that instead of the kind of the video diaries?
Honestly, because it was easier, and it was something I was already doing. A lot of my earlier stuff, took lots of planning. I had to plan out, what topic I was going to do. And this is just I'm already enjoying the stuff. Why not share it and talk about it? I mean, I just enjoy doing it, just even if there aren't that many viewers. Sure. It's just fun.
Yeah, I think that's it's so funny because, I mean, that's so similar to how I was like, oh, I may as well just do a podcast too because, I was already talking with people about bourbon and, may as well make something of it. So yeah, I totally get that. I think that's really cool that you kind of followed along that same path.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of helped me in the journey as well. I mean, I would never have focused so much on pulling out flavor notes or, tasting notes or anything like that. I mean, I would have enjoyed it, but I think talking about it definitely helps explore it a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And I think that that's another really cool thing about the community too, is that everybody's kind of willing to help you out with the the learning aspect of it, and it only gets better and better, I feel like.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Clifton. Well, I won't keep you too much longer so you can go enjoy your Korean barbecue. But thanks so much for chatting for a bit, bud.
No problem. And again, I'm a huge fan of the show. Keep up all of the great work you're doing. I really enjoy listening to it each week.
Oh, thank you, Clifton.
All right.
All right, buddy. I'll talk to you
later.
All right, bye.
Bye.
And more coming up from this special call-in episode here very soon. Welcome back to this special Tim Bip call-in episode. We now have who is this? Who's on the line right now?
This is Dustin.
Dustin? What the heck, man? Hey, how are you?
I'm not too bad. How about you, Perry?
Oh, not so bad. Hey,
as usual.
as usual, indeed. What are you sipping on, Dustin?
Ironically, right now I'm sipping on our Whiskey Weekend Batch 1 pick of Stay in Your Lane.
Oh, I finished off Bourbon Karma the other night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It was...
How'd that treat you?
Oh, just fine, my friend, just fine.
Give you a nice hug and a pat on the back on the way out the door?
It made me feel special, I'll say that much.
Oh, man.
You getting excited? I know I am, but are you getting excited for Whiskey Weekend Batch 2?
That is an understatement. There might be a little excitement here. I might have some secret plans ready for this weekend. So anybody that's going to be there, I'm just saying you better be ready because I'm bringing it. So
I am looking. You can't see me, but I'm looking down over my blue light glasses right now at you, saying, "Excuse me." Not sure what exactly that means, but that's enticing for sure.
Yeah, I'm. You know me, I'll have my box of goodies or two.
I love that box.
When I come along, I always have at least one box. And for Whiskey Weekend, I usually pull out all the stops. It's usually go home or go broke. So. And if it's anything like last year, good Lord, they better. I've got an extra liver and kidney on order right now.
Good Lord, amen. Have you? Hey, so
yeah,
question for you, real quick. Have you tried your gift from Santa Cletus yet?
I actually have. I have tried the Jim Beam decanter from 1970. That's the one I have.
Yeah,
South Carolina.
So
is some.
It's good. It's good. It's good stuff, right? So he sent me.
It's a real nice one there, Clark. I'll say that.
Don't go getting too attached to that now, Clark. So he sent me one as well. It was a 1970 Jim Beam decanter 2, and it was a Germany bottle. Do you know why? Nice. Do you know why it was Germany?
Why is that?
Because Ritter is knight in German. Yeah. So he was really looking after me there.
Yeah, look at that. Santa Cletus is watching out for you. He's always taking care of you.
Exactly. But it was the same thing. It was a 100-month-old 86 proof and everything. And I opened it with Papa Ritter for the January Patreon bonus episode. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I had to. I got it that day that we were recording, and I was like, I think we should have a pour of this together, and it's ridiculously good.
That's awesome. That is very cool. Yeah, I had a pour of mine. Was it the night that we got them or the day after? I can't remember, but certain people were giving me a hard time because I do have a slight issue of staying up late some nights. The old sane man gets a hold of me and puts me under. And so they might have been giving me a hard time, calling me Grandpa, and having a drink. And if anybody knows about Dustin's alter ego, you did meet him at Whiskey Weekend. He doesn't take well to challenges. He usually stays up and starts drinking crazy and throwing things at people. So I didn't take that. So I unwrapped the bottle and I took a big old swig off of it. And I said, "Take that, bring it." So,
man, I am so excited for sitting on the porch at 4 a.m. drinking bourbon and smoking cigars at the Beaumont Inn. That's gonna be,
and also trying to jump out of trees at pizza delivery guys there, Pear Bear.
Oh, shoot. Maybe I'll actually get to eat the pizza this time.
Yeah, I still talked to. I was telling Misty about it. I was like, I still remember that whole weekend. It was one giant blur, most of it, and then I just remember driving. I just remember driving home Sunday in complete silence. Like, I didn't turn the radio on. I didn't turn nothing. I just drove. It's like I got to think about my life, and I got to think about what I just went through. Like, you know, like how Navy SEALs have their week of hell. We kind of had like our own like 3-day version of it, and it was just like it was like 3 days, and it was a lot. There was happiness, there was crying, there was tears. It was emotional roller coaster for 3 days.
It was, but I mean, it was 100% worth it.
Oh, it was worth it. That's why we're all coming back for round 2.
Oh, yes.
Round 2 could be just as bad or crazy, just as bad or worse. I mean, I don't know. Interesting.
I'm nervous, but excited. So I guess anxious? I don't know. Either way.
Anxious might be a good word. I'm excited and ready to go for it, but then it's like, oh God, what do they got planned for us? What are we drinking? Who's going to pass out first?
Maybe I'll crank call Dixon here later and see what information I can get out of him.
Sounds like a plan right there. We do need to know a heads up. And if anybody is going to Whiskey Weekend that's listening to this, I'm just saying, fair warning, any parties will probably start at our room because it's going to be us and Santa Cletus in one room together. And that's just, I mean,
it's going to be a hoot and a half. I'll say that much.
A hoot and a half is an understatement. It's going to be like a hoot and 5/8. I mean, it's going to be hoot and 3/4. It's going to be something.
All right, buddy. Well, I will let you go. Hope you have a good night. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, you too. All right, everybody else out there, have a good night.
All right. Thanks, Dustin.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.
And we've got more calls coming up for you right now. So we're back here on this special call-in episode of This Is My Bourbon Podcast. Who do we have on the line here right now?
Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I'm Will, and I got my co-host over here, the Grease.
Oh, my gosh.
Grease.
Oh, man, I'm glad to be here, Will. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity here to air my grievances over the airwaves.
What?
Oh, wait, hang on.
Whoa, hold on.
Hello?
What show do you think this is?
What do you
podcast?
I thought this was my bourbon podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you did there. I like that.
Well, I think you did it first when we were first on.
Yeah,
Terry.
probably. It's Will and the Grease from the podcast.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, we're just sitting here, just nonchalantly, just pounding weeders on Sunday evening while our kids cry in the other room.
You sound like you are just
eating.
You've got so much energy right now.
Well, dude, I'm also pounding like 6-hour-old popcorn, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, this is like spaghetti. You know how like spaghetti and chili are better the day after?
Oh, are they?
I'm starting. Yeah. Oh, are you Perry? Are you kidding? Are you?
No, hold on. I always thought. No. Look, I thought that the fresher the better.
God, my Perry. No. You, Will.
I think I've officially lost Will forever.
I don't even know what to say.
I don't know what to say either. I'm borderline angry right now, and I've already gone to church today, and I'm gonna have to go again because the amount of anger in my body is not healthy. Will,
yeah, you're about to have to change denominations.
The only thing that I like, and maybe it's just because I haven't had enough experience outside of it, but the only thing that I like the day afterwards is a big... Oh, wait, no. Oh, I was going to say chili. Oh, I'm very in the wrong here. Oh, shoot.
is a big 08?
No, I mean I'm sorry. I must have cut out for a second there. I screwed up. I did. I apologize. I do know that chili is better the day afterwards. I am way in the wrong here.
Yeah, what, Perry? Let me go. Hey, news flash, Perry. Whoop whoop whoop. I already knew that.
No, I know you knew that, and I was thinking of a hamburger noodle casserole.
Hamburger what?
Hamburger
That's what
noodle.
You consider spaghetti?
It's called goulash, man.
Hamburger helper casserole.
No, hamburger noodle casserole.
Like stroganoff?
No, goulash.
Oh, God. I don't even know what's going on anymore.
I literally want to. I've never wanted to amputate a limb on my body and smack myself in the face harder than this moment right now.
I'm still confused.
I'm tired. Yeah. I think you. I'm sorry more than anything.
I knew I would end up in the hospital. I just didn't know it would be because Perry doesn't know that spaghetti is better the day after.
Well, I thought we were talking about chili.
Said spaghetti is hamburger helper.
What?
Golly.
What? I'm confused. Green, how's the popcorn? Let me say this. Green, how's your popcorn?
It's great. It's fine. I mean, it's slightly stale a little bit, but it's fine. Here's the deal.
Is that the popcorn you made when you were spying on your neighbors?
Oh,
yes.
Hello.
I can't go into that right now. Will, you caught me off guard. Okay, we need to save some sacredness for our own show.
That's fair.
Oh, dadgummit, Will. Opened up a dadgum. You opened you pulled the pin out of a grenade and then you threw it up.
Well, look, we'll just tell people if they want to hear about why you were being pervy against your neighbors, they have to go listen to next week's episode, right?
See, yeah. So now there's just a bunch of assumptions. Will, dadgummit.
Well, and you know what?
Show me Riley.
The assumptions are pretty accurate. Is what people are thinking are probably what it's going to be.
Dadgum.
Hey, I got a question for you guys. No, go ahead, Grease. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, you thought this was your show. Funny. No, I thought you had like a relatively refined palate. I mean, you do enjoy good whiskey. You know what that is.
I do, but
yet, here's the deal. Hamburger helper lasagna? Whatever.
No. You go to the grocery and you get yourself some real ground up, fine, good ground beef, and then you mix it in with the. What made you think that I wanted anything to do with hamburger helper?
You said it, I think.
Did
you
I?
said hamburger helper noodle.
No, I said hamburger.
You said hamburger noodle casserole.
That's not hamburger.
Hamburger noodle casserole. There's only one option.
Yeah, it's got the big hand. Is that the right thing? Hamburger helper got the big hand.
It's fine. I mean, I appreciate you just coming from humble beginnings, Perry. It's fine. We'll get there. One of these days, you'll understand what spaghetti is, and it's fine. By the way, FYI, it's better the day after.
Okay, well,
Breeze uses ragu.
Look, I've learned a lot tonight, but I got a question for you guys.
Yeah.
What are you going to chug any of my whiskey at Whiskey Weekend Batch 2?
Am I going to what?
Are you going to chug any of my whiskey at Whiskey Weekend Batch 2?
I don't know what that. What do you? I mean.
Well, we don't chug. We don't chug. Okay, we're respectable human beings.
Well, the Wheeze chugged some of my whiskey. Whiskey Weekend Batch. No, he did not. You are a liar, sir, and I would like to refer to the court documents to prove that that is untrue.
Well, I mean, if you're referring to the image that I cropped and posted into the Whiskey Weekend group, if you're referring to that image, it does not. I cut off where it has who was saying such words.
God. Yeah, that's fine. That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I mean, are we gonna drink a crap ton of whiskey at Whiskey Weekend? Is that what you're asking? Yeah.
Yeah, sure, fine. Yeah.
Now, if you're asking us if we're going to try your whiskey, the answer is no, because you sent me samples like over a year ago, and I just had them yesterday.
Which apparently you loved. You loved one of those samples.
Oh, they were fabulous. They were fabulous.
Also, I didn't send you those samples. I hand-delivered them to you, Grease.
Yeah, I know.
I set them down in your lap, and I
I
said, Grease, these are for you and Will. But, you know, the fact that you finally got to try that Knob Creek pick. Ugh.
Oh, that Knob Creek was solid.
I'm just surprised that Grease survived the move with whiskey and samples intact.
Mm-hmm.
That's a solid point, Will. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was we were live on our or I was actually, Will wasn't with me. I was live on our Patreon thing or whatever, and I was like, I'm just going to start going through these samples, and then I held up these samples, and I was like, I don't know who these were from, and then Travis Gint says, "Hey, are those from Perry?" And I was like, I don't know. And then, like, dude, you would not believe how many of those guys said, like, "Oh, I'm pretty sure you never did Perry samples. Those might be Perry's." Like they all knew the shenanigans and like the. I mean, it's like they're all waiting on me for us to officially do them. And it was a joke for a while to not do them, and then it ended up being like we ended up really forgetting to do them, and it became a real thing. So
the best thing is, I'm looking at right now, podcast mystery sample. I don't know who that's from.
That's not me.
Sample.
That's not me.
I've got a whole box. I've got a box right here that has a bunch of different samples. I don't know who they're from and answers. So I may just throw the answers away and we can have real fun, like a true blind, never know the answers kind of thing.
We just had a random Willet 23-year-old weeder. No big deal.
Oh,
no, we'd never know it.
I know. I'm just saying we'd never know what it was.
Yeah. Because you can't tell the difference between like a rye mash bill and a weeded mash bill.
No, heck no. Heck
impossible.
No. Heck no. I got a better chance at training my 5-month-old how to ride a bike without training wheels tomorrow. Which now I'm going to definitely try.
Oh, video or it didn't happen. So I guess this means that I probably shouldn't be bringing you guys a sample flight to Whiskey Weekend Batch 2, or maybe I should. I don't know.
No, I mean, you should, because we're going to need whiskey in 2023.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're now shifting to like apocalypse preparation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Grease,
yeah. So that would be fun.
Okay, now that you've brought it up, I got to ask you, Grease. What would be your number one survival tip for people who are going through the apocalypse?
Oh, dude, I mean, consistently over the past 4 years that I've been into whiskey, I would say E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof. I could be happy with that pour day in and day out.
Hey, man.
So yeah, it would totally get the job done.
Make you forget.
But yeah, I mean, I think Rare Breed's close. I mean, if I'm talking about stuff that I could probably get, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not talking about like, oh yeah, you know, whatever. But Rare Breed is really impressing me right now. Stag Junior's always high up there. I like barrel proof stuff, so that's me. Will, how about you, bub?
What are we talking about again? The apocalypse?
Yeah, like what whiskey are you going to take with you on the apocalypse?
Probably just Buffalo Trace.
Just straight, just 90 proof Buffalo Trace.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that's fine.
Is that wrong?
No, it's not wrong.
No.
I don't know if it's right.
Well, I don't want to be fancy if the apocalypse is happening. that's when like people they start coming at you. So I just want to be humble.
You don't want people to be in rags and you're pulling out Kentucky Owl Batch 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will, no, I'm calling you out on this so hard right now. If there was like a 5,000-pound freaking black rhino gorilla freaking bear coming at you, are you going to grab a bottle of Buffalo Trace? Heck no, you're going to grab a bottle of something barrel proof like E.H. Taylor.
That won't defend me against whatever creature you just described.
No, there's no way to beat that creature. I'm just saying, like, you need something to dull the senses fast, because it's gonna get hairy.
Okay. Well, wild turkey then.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. That bit. Get a little 5% more alcohol.
I'm taking Booker's, so that's just me.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
there you go. That's smart.
Yeah. Anyway,
wait, what was yours, Perry?
I said Booker's.
What was yours?
Booker's.
Oh, heck, solid. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good Lord.
Amen.
Duh. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I don't disagree with that.
Well, I just want to say thank you guys for calling in to this special bonus episode. Well, special episode, not bonus, but you guys are great. There's a really fun podcast that everybody can go listen to all about whiskey. It's called The Podcast.
Yeah.
And it comes out every Monday for the most part.
I'm going to be completely transparent with you, Perry, right now. I didn't know this was the number to your show to call in for this. I was in a stall, and it said, call this number for a good time.
Oh, no.
And it's Sunday, and I was like, I'm feeling frisky before I go to work on Monday. And so I thought I would just roll the dice. And so anyway, I am happy that it was you at the end of this, not some creep, whatever. So
it all came up sevens
on the other end. But
all right.
But
notice he made me get on the line before making the call, but he needs someone to hold his hand.
Well, no, I was like, Will, we're gonna have. I need you. before.
Yeah, you needed him to hold your hand.
To babysit.
Yeah.
Yeah, to babysit. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for calling in, and I'll let you do your famous catchphrase to sign off.
And we don't know Jack.
Oh, but we'll drink it. Perry, we love you. Thank you, buddy.
Love you guys. Thank you all so much. Talk to you later.
All right. See you, bud.
Bye.
All right.
A huge thank you to everybody who called in for this very special call-in episode. I thought it went really well. I had a lot of fun with it. Thank you guys so much for being a part of it and everything. And hopefully we'll get to do it again sometime in the future. So just a couple of things to do here to wrap up this episode. First off, it is Tips and Bits, where I recommend things to you. We recommend things to you. It doesn't have to be bourbon necessarily, but we're still going to do that. Let me take a sip of my bourbon here first. That's that new Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond that's so dang good. So anyway, Tips and Bits this week. I don't think that I've mentioned this on the main feed. I actually don't think I've mentioned this at all. I just got done reading a book, which I found to be fantastic. It is called Today Will Be Different. It was written by the same lady who wrote, you might have heard of it more recently because it was a movie, but it was originally a book. It's Where'd You Go, Bernadette? The author's name is Maria Semple, Semple. And she's just fantastic, and it's a funny book, but it's also taking a serious look at what it means to kind of be an adult as you're aging up in the world. And I just really enjoyed it. I had a hard time putting it down, and I got it for Christmas because I'm a nerd. So yeah. Other tips or bits, I guess. go subscribe to the Patreon, because there was a bonus episode that came out for January. This month's bonus episode did come out the other day. I had a whole Q&A with Papa Ritter, who you got to hear earlier on in this episode. It was so much fun just getting to hang out with him, and all the questions came from listeners of the show and patrons of the show. So go and check that out. Patreon.com/MyBourbonPodcast is where you can do that. Started doing pregame chats every week. Sorry there wasn't one with this episode, but that's just because I am on my own, of course. So you can go and check that out. Again, all at Patreon.com/MyBourbonPodcast. And you'll find more information there as to how you can get access to all that content. That does it for this week's episode. Thank you all so much for listening. This was a whole heck of a lot of fun. If you want to follow me personally, I am at PRitter1492 on all social media channels. The show is at My Bourbon Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Let me say that again because I screwed it up the first time, at My Bourbon Pod. Sorry about that. If you could please give us a 5-star rating review on iTunes, that would help us out so much. It is a great way for people to find the show if they have not done so already. And then if you don't listen to the podcast on iTunes, you use Spotify, or you might listen to it on YouTube or Stitcher or whatever, just telling your friends. It's a great way to get more people listening to the show. So please do that. We'd appreciate it. Bourbonshop.threadless.com is where you can find all of our apparel and merchandise. You can become a part of our Facebook group at facebook.com and just search for This Is My Bourbon Group. Just a couple questions to get you in there, and then you will be a part of a really fun little community. Oh gosh, let's see what else. You can send comments or questions to thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. We have the newest segment, of course, Barrel Rings, which you can call into. It's the same number that everybody used to call in for this episode. It is 859-428-8253. One more time, 859-428-8253. And next week's question, for those of you who will be calling into Barrel Rings, will be, what was your favorite bourbon of 2019? So once again, 859-428-8253. Just leave a short voicemail telling us what your favorite bourbon of 2019 was. And then, if enough comes in, maybe we'll do a couple of them. Otherwise, appreciate you guys calling in. And then last but not least, of course, is patreon.com/MyBourbonPodcast. I already talked about that in tips and bits, of course. So we really do appreciate that. It helps keep the lights on. It helps us... I continue to do this every week. It is a free podcast, of course, and if you appreciate what we do and you want to help the cause, help donate to this show, keep it going, patreon.com/MyBourbonPodcast is where you can do that, and you get some exclusive content by donating to the show every single month. That does it for me. Thank you all so much for listening to this week's really fun special call-in episode. We'll do it again sometime soon, but I'm ready to get Curtis and Swan back in the studio here. I'm telling you. Oh, man. What a long time it's been. Thank you all again so much for listening. I will see you next time, but until then, I'm Perry, and this is My Bourbon Podcast.